can remember the bus that took us from the airport down into San Antonio, and just coming down in San Antonio, I was like, oh my God, it just had that like magic for me straight away.
I mean, it gets different people in different ways.
There was no way that I could give up Ibiza. There was just no way.
I thought I retired 7 years ago.
There you go.
I'm back.
An all-female lineup was something that was not only risque, but something that they could kind of build around to do risque things. We were just determined that we wanted to show everybody that there were girls that could play trance music.
Welcome to the Ibiza Hall of Fame podcast with myself, Clara, and with Big Al. Our next guest was one of the first female DJs to break out in the trance scene in the UK, and then she came to Ibiza in 2000 whilst trance and electronic music was thriving. We proudly welcome Vicky Devine into the Ibiza Hall of Fame.
Welcome, Vicky.
Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you. Well, it's very formal, isn't it? Woo!
Thank you for being here. Obviously, since your first journey in music, you've had a very successful career. You also have been working in music management. We would like to know from the beginning, when you first came to Ibiza, what year was that?
So I came on holiday with friends. I stayed at the Club Preso, which is now Ibiza Rocks Hotel. There were 8 of us, I think, and we were all kind of rookie DJs. I'd been involved in the rave scene for maybe 10 years before that. Started in raving in 91.
It took you a long time to get to Ibiza.
I know, right? Well, I had some friends that came to Ibiza in around 95 and did a season here. And they said to me, you need to go. This is your place. You absolutely need to get there. But yeah, I mean, I had another job. I don't know whether we're going to touch on that at all, but I was actually working in science at the time in London. So I was at university and I was raving at the weekends, and so I ended up with a job in science, and so that's why it took me so long to eventually get here. But yeah, I came to the island and I can literally remember landing, even though it's now 26 years ago, I can remember landing. I can remember the bus that took us from the airport down into San Antonio. And just coming down in San Antonio, I was like, oh my God, it just had that like magic for me straight away. It was just like, I found my place.
That's one of the questions, the magic of Ibiza. No, but you've already touched on it. It's fabulous. I mean, is it spiritual for you? Is it magnetic? Or is it everything? I mean, it gets different people in different ways. I mean, I always say it bit me, and it just keeps drawing me back. I can't help it.
I was obviously already involved in the music. As I said, I'd been raving for like 10 years, and I'd recently got involved with the trance scene. So I was learning how to mix. I was like doing bar gigs in the UK. And so a lot of the music that was coming at that time was coming from here. So as we were coming in and coming down, people were obviously talking about that. There wasn't any streaming or anything like that at the time, but I just knew that I was going to the home of where a lot of the trance music was, like Happy Del Mar was out, you know, Barry Corson, all those DJs that were making that sound at the time were already here. So I just felt like I was coming to a home that I'd never actually been to before. It was crazy. And you know, everybody says it when they land into Ibiza, that they feel that. They almost feel like they're coming home, and they feel like this special energy of the island, and it's a real thing. I felt it instantly. There's only a few places that I felt that about in the world. Here, Australia is another, and like Mexico.
I only get it from here.
But the magic of this island is different because it's so contained. And I had that instant connection, and yeah, we went to the hotel, and we already had it in our minds that we wanted to connect with people and try and infiltrate, if you like, what was a predominantly male-dominated scene at that time in trance music, and try and get to know people that were here and show that we wanted to be a part of that. We were equal, and we wanted to, you know, show that we could be a part of it, really, yeah. And be connected with the music that we loved so much at that time.
And how did that come about in terms of like you coming out here, having an idea of what you wanted to do, and who gave you your first gig here on the island?
What was your first gig?
So I was really lucky. Lucky because I'd already been working in the rave scene. I've been like working on doors, doing a little bit of dancing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it dancing, but I was trying to be a dancer. I was just trying to find ways to be connected with certain people. And one of the guys that was running quite big raves at the time, called Chris Brown, he ran a rave called United Dance, which was always at the Sanctuary in Milton Keynes. And they'd brought one of their brands called Tonic over to Ibiza, which they were hosting at Eden. So one of the first places that we went when we landed here was there, because we knew them. We knew Slipmat, all of those kind of hardcore DJs that were around at the time. They were all involved in that.
They were rave DJs for me.
They were rave DJs, yeah, but they were also people that were connected to the scene that I'd been involved with, so they knew me. I used to dance on the stages of those kind of raves as well. So we went in there, and I was with another girl called Sophie Sugar. She was another female trance DJ at the time, and we were both trying to push basically getting our first sets and to get support for an idea that we'd had to host an all-female event. The bottom line is that they showed interest straight away. There was nothing like that at the time. An all-female lineup was something that was not only risque, but something that they could kind of build around to do risque things, and to give us a platform to bring music, you know, and show that we could both run a night and DJ a night and fill a club and promote a club actually with an all-female PR team. They just loved the whole concept. So my first gig was actually the year later in 2001. And I did the pre-party at Ithaca, which is still there. It's a bar in San Antonio. And we started the night at Summum in San Antonio Bay. And we got together an all-female lineup. And I was billed as the warm-up because I was relatively the unknown in the whole picture at that time. And I can remember like driving around from the pre-party to Club Summum, and the queue was like literally all the way down the road. Wow. There was like, I think we had like 1,000 people. If you know Summum, Summon's like a really quite small club. 1,000 people through the door we had that night. It was insane.
Some must have left to get the others in.
Yeah, exactly. We had both floors because we had the terrace upstairs.
Oh,
so we
had that as well.
We had some funky residents that were playing music upstairs, that style of music upstairs, and we were playing trance and like harder sounds downstairs. So yeah, I was terrified because I'd never really played like a club like that before. I was brand new in Ibiza. I think a lot of people were thinking, who's this girl? Where has she come from? You know, what is she doing here? And we were just really lucky that we got supported. I don't think that many other people, obviously there's a lot of people that have had to come here and literally like beg for gigs, and I also did do that.
Most DJs did. No. The only way to get forwards was, you know, get over here and chance your luck. I mean, that's how it works.
And so I'd done that the year before on the holiday part, and then the year after is when it kind of all started.
No, you weren't doing anything different or wrong. You were doing exactly what you were meant to be doing. You know, you're hustling to get where you wanted to be.
Hustling is the word. Hustling, we were. We used to do all kinds of things. Like I'd actually started producing as well before I was even able to mix. So we did our first record, me and Sophie again together, pressed it up, managed to get it to a distribution company, got sent the vinyl, and basically Judge Jules was like an icon at that time. He was on Radio 1. We were like...
He was doing probably Judgement Sunday, was that time?
That was one of the first events that I went to, and I said, when I was stood there, I really want to be resident here one day. And we managed to get into the green room with him, give him our vinyl. Again, he was probably thinking, who are these girls? Where have they come from? But yeah, we were just determined that we wanted to show everybody that there were girls that could play trance music, because there were none others that were doing that at the time.
Right.
Yeah. No, amazing. That's exactly the sort of stories we want to hear. So we ask a few questions on this podcast. One of the questions I ask is, who's your favourite DJ?
It's so difficult to name like one or two. That's the thing, because there's my favourite DJs from that time. And then from working in music throughout, and
throw a few names at us. Go on.
So I have to say Armin van Buuren. I have to, because he's one of the pioneers of trance music.
Trance music, yeah.
And all the DJs that are involved with Armada as well, you know, I kind of grew up with them.
Yeah.
I also have to say Jules, because
that was that genre, wasn't it?
yeah, and Jules, apart from obviously doing Judgement Sundays as an event, he was one of the first people that booked trance artists when they were also relatively unknown. So I think Tiësto and Armin, all those people that are obviously huge megastars now and became known for trance music, even if they went on to be involved with other genres. Yeah. Jules was one of the first people that gave those people opportunities on the island.
I mean, he did no different from what I did, you know, years and years before. Yeah. You have to give people a
Paul
chance.
Oakenfold is another.
Yeah, you have to give people a chance. If you don't give people a chance, there's no new talent. You know, that is how it worked. You know, we gave people a chance. Brandon, for instance, earlier on, you know, he used to drive us mad at Broadway Boulevard. He's been these torches on the stage saying, "Let me play some records," and I eventually went, "I'll let him play," and that was Brandon's start, and the rest is history.
I used to send my tapes off because obviously we were recording to tape at that time. Like just package up my little tape and send them off in the hope that somebody would just give me a spot somewhere.
But famously, I mean, we had Sasha yesterday, and Sasha, I gave him his break in Ibiza.
Wow.
He played in 1990 for me at Coup. He came over. I never booked him. He didn't come here with me. A friend of mine said, "Oh, Sasha's here." I said, "Who's Sasha?" I didn't. He was Manchester DJ. Didn't know who he was. They said, "Oh no, he's really like the governor. He's brilliant."
Was also one of my favourite DJs around that time because he had Expander out, which was a huge trance record.
I said to the guy telling me this, I said, "I need a tape." He went, "No, it's Sasha." I said, "No, I want to hear what he's going to play, or he ain't getting on." So I got a tape, wished I kept it.
Have you still got the tape?
And I wished I had. But yeah, I mean, I had a million tapes from DJs because I had hundreds of people give me tapes because they wanted to get on. I was the only one here doing it. Anyway, so I liked what I heard, and Sasha played, you know, and
the rest, as they say, is history.
It's history, yeah. You know, for me, you know, we started lots of people's careers, and that's how it works. The same as Jules did with you. I did with other DJs in the past.
It was Chris Brown that gave me my very first set. So they were promoters. They were also promoting Tonic on the Terrace at Space at the time. I don't know if you remember that, but they used to do Alex P's birthday bash on a
Alex
Thursday.
Started it. Yeah. He was my resident in the early days.
It's amazing. Both of them are, and they're original legends. So you know, there's so many DJs that I could mention that I could throw in some of the mix that are favourites for different reasons. Not necessarily just for the music that I play, but also because of what they brought to the island, or just because we've become friends over the years, or because they promoted parties that were amazing to go to. You know, even after I'd played, we all used to go to DC10. You know, Joe Mills is another one, like amazing at the time. It still is, still absolutely smashing it. There's so many DJs I could mention that, yeah.
Do you? I mean, you moved on to a different part of the industry now. Do you still play at all?
Yes, I do. I mean, I moved. I never left DJing, but basically I had a situation in my life whereby I couldn't dedicate all my time to it.
Takes up a long time. You're going off and doing this and going off and doing, you know.
Well, I was also running a record label. I was doing a radio show. I was like promoting events. I was involved with magazines. There's lots of things that I was doing, and in my personal life, I was needed, you know. So I couldn't be away on tour. I had to focus on what I needed to do, you know, to make things better. So I had to not be so focused on Vicky Devine for a bit. And we discussed at that time, my husband and I, whether we were going to stay in Manchester, which is where I'm from, where we lived at that time, and try and make a go of it there, or whether we should come to Ibiza full time. Because before 2013, from between 2000 and 2013, we were going backwards and forwards. So I'd spend 6 months here, 6 months in Manchester, doing that drive backwards and forwards, trying to figure out where we were going to live in the winter, and then fortunately, we had a place here that we kept on, and we still actually live in the same place that we've lived in for the last 18 years actually here. But yeah, I we needed some stability. We needed to decide, and there was no way that I could give up Ibiza. There was just no way. And my husband the same. You know, we both loved it so much here. So I was like, okay, need to give it a go. But at that time in 2013, the whole clubbing situation was changing. Jules just kind of stopped broadcasting on Radio 1. The small kind of free entry club that we were doing, Charlie's Angels in still, which was the name of the all-female brand that I'd been running, kind of skipped over huge parts. But the free entry club that I was doing, had been sold. So it was being revamped.
Things were changing.
Everything was changing. Eden also had been sold at that time, which is where Judgement Sundays was. So we knew that maybe Judgement Sundays was either going to move or go to a different night, which it did. It went to Fridays for a little while, or, you know, and was probably going to be scaled down, and the music changed as well. So Trance had this really long period where, you know, everybody was into it, but it almost became a dirty word at one stage. It was like nobody wanted to be affiliated with trance music anymore, and even now there's a little bit of that. But EDM obviously became big. The megastar.
That was a dirty word.
Megastar DJs, yeah. Megastar. The club nights became around the DJs rather than the brands.
For me, it was pop music. It was pop music. It wasn't what
EDM.
it was. Yeah, the EDM. It wasn't dance music as what I was involved in. It wasn't house music. It was a whole. I mean, I sort of relate it to the old high energy gay music from the late 80s. It had that element to it rather than the soulful feeling of dance music. That's the way I looked at it. When it first came out, I hated it.
Well, I kind of lost my. I didn't know where I fit anymore. Actually, at that time, I was like, I wasn't sure which way the music was going to go. I knew that I still loved trance and progressive, you know, and I knew that I still wanted to be in that space, but there wasn't really a space to be in anymore, unless you like. I mean, Jules obviously was a much bigger name than me at that time, and you know, there were obviously new DJs coming through. Avicii had just arrived to the island. Martin Garrix, you know, was just coming through. David Guetta was like, and they were all doing their nights with they were super brands, but within themselves.
Yeah.
And I wasn't at that stage. I wasn't able to do that. So. I decided that if we were going to come to Ibiza and live here full time, that I needed to integrate myself into the scene in a different way. So I was fortunate enough to be offered a position with the Night League, who is the company behind. It was just Ushuaia at that time, and they were doing events on the roof of Ushuaia Tower and also at the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
I think actually the Hard Rock might have been
they took space back.
And then space, yeah.
And
so
now, which is now high.
And I was with them for 9 years. I was involved with artist liaison, so taking care of all the artists that were coming in and out of there, and also
that's a difficult job, dealing with everyone.
And then I ended up managing. So I was managing other artists for 5 years or so, and then lockdown hit, and
it changed everything for a little bit.
Changed everything, and another personal situation in my life, and it's all kind of come full circle, because now I'm back being Vicky Devine again and working in music again. So for the last 5 years, I've been playing again. So to answer your question,
yes,
I haven't.
You never really went away, but
I never really went away, but I had to take my foot off the gas for a little while.
And you had a full-time job doing other things as well.
And I had a full-time job looking after other artists. Like, I thought that I would kind of be a natural at that, because I'm an artist myself. But it's a very different experience, actually, taking care of others.
There's different demands, isn't there? Yeah. And it can be a bit tricky these days when you're dealing with certain characters. And
everyone is an individual and has their own wants and needs, and their history was very different. And also, I was getting older. You know, I'm not going to say how old I am.
I can tell you how old I am. I'm 65.
Okay. I don't actually think that age matters.
It doesn't matter.
If you've got the passion for this culture and for the music and for the island, you know. And all of that passion is basically the reason that I'm still here today.
Yeah.
We all love this island, don't we?
We do. I genuinely love it. I got up this morning, and the water, like, I can see the bay from my bedroom window in San Antonio, which is where I live. and the water was literally just like glass.
Not a ripple.
I literally stood there for like 5 minutes just looking at it,
It's
thinking,
very nice living near the sea, isn't it?
it's just like
it just kind of grounds you.
so grateful to be able to do that.
We're in paradise, aren't we?
I personally think so. I mean, obviously the island has changed a lot in the time that I've been here, but even here, we're obviously in a big hotel complex, but at the back of here you've got beautiful forests and hills and nature, and you only need to walk 5 minutes up the hill. I was having a conversation with somebody just 5 minutes ago, and he said you just need to walk 5 minutes up that way and no one will see you for 2 weeks. And that's true. You can literally be in the middle of nowhere in 2 minutes.
And you've got all that blue stuff out there.
And all the blue stuff too, which I believe is a healing entity in itself.
Oh, it's sort of what it always has been, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And I was looking out over the water this morning and thinking, this place is just amazing.
Yeah.
Going back to music, so it was quite interesting what you said, like, you know, during the time that you came out here and like the trance scene being that, you know, within the year 2000s being quite prominent on the island.
Yeah.
And then obviously as time goes on, things change, and then you get these superstar DJs that collaborate with big vocalists, those, you know, in the pop culture kind of thing. And then they're obviously doing these big stages and obviously EDM. And then, you know, even now moving forward, like tech house, there's so many different trends and sort of avenues that kind of evolve with music. What I do know is with music is you still have the people, you have the community. I know that the trance community is still really, really big, and that those that come here to Ibiza for those nights, for that community, they are still around. Are you going to be any part of these nights coming up in Ibiza anytime soon?
So one of the things that actually pulled me back, so after lockdown, I've been having another personally difficult time, and I was again kind of assessing my place in the whole thing, and I just knew that I wanted to get back to the music rather than being involved with the logistics and artists, and I wanted to come back to myself a little bit and come back to Ibiza.
Doing what you love.
Doing what I love with people that I love. There was a group that had been formed on Facebook by an old friend of mine called Dexter Jones, who used to run events out here as well. He's also got a podcast, and he basically, what he wanted to do was reunite the community that had worked in San Antonio specifically, but also across the island in the noughties, who loved all the parties that were happening at that time, and also the music. And it exploded. I think he started off with a couple of subscribers, and by the morning he had like tens of thousands. Everybody just seemed to want to reconnect. Everyone was posting photos, everybody was chatting about the good old days and, you know, what brought them to Ibiza and how much they still love the island. And off the back of that, they decided that they were going to do an event. So they called the event One More Time, and it launched in Eden. I think they wanted to launch it in 2020, but obviously lockdown happened and the island was closed for 2 years. And they asked me at that time if I'd be interested in being a resident for it, because one of the other promoters that's involved in it, Nick Ferguson, he used to be the promoter of Cream, with, I don't know if you remember somebody called Mo, he was involved with the promoter of Cream in the noughties as well. And they just wanted to kind of bring that whole trance vibe back. And obviously they knew that not only is that my music, but also that I'm connected to all the demographic that we're talking within this group. So we had to wait for 2 years. They also decided that they were going to do the Kevin and Perry reunion, which again, it sounds quite commercial and cheesy, but it was the anniversary of that film, which had been filmed in Amnesia in 2000, which was the year that we came. And they asked me if I wanted to play there as well. Now, up until that point, I'd played in Amnesia a couple of times for Cream. I was really nervous, and I was like, oh, can I really do this? Because there'd been like this 7-year gap that I hadn't really been Vicky Devine. And I knew that I was basically going to be stepping right back into that role and into that community and into that music all over again. But I can tell you that the night that we did it, we did the first One More Time it was actually a Judgement Sundays reunion as well. We did it at Eden. I think it was in 21 or 21 when the clubs reopened. Maybe they did one in 2019 before lockdown as well. Yes, they did. It was insane. It was insane. Like, it sold out, and they've been doing it every year since then. So yeah, I'm due to play at the Kevin and Perry reunion again, which is happening in September. And again, I think it's almost sold out again, and the place is bouncing, absolutely bouncing. Everybody from that era comes back. Also, people from the new generation that want to know what Ibiza was like, what Amnesia was like back in 2000.
Yes.
They want to come because they've heard it from their parents.
Of course, yeah.
This is how it used to be.
Yeah.
And they do the club in the same way that it was back then. It almost looks identical. I mean, Amnesia hasn't actually changed so much inside over the years. Obviously, there's been a few modern additions, but in the main, the club remains with that same ethos and soul. One of my favourite clubs to play on the island as well. So getting up there and playing alongside legends that were massive at the time as well.
Yeah.
Lange, Jules has done it, Dave Pearce, like maybe, you know, there's more underground as well as the commercial ones. I'm trying to rack my brains now, but it just brings that sound all together, and it brings all the people back together as well.
Talking about the sound, because obviously every sort of genre has its unique sound, and certain music just creates, it sends people into memory lane, and it just makes them think, oh my God, this screams Ibiza. Are there any specific tracks that kind of resonate the kind of feeling, the essence of Ibiza?
Well, I think I mentioned Cafe Del Mar earlier, Energy 52 Cafe Del Mar. That was absolutely massive. I think it was first released in 97, 8 kind of time. And I'd had a rework in 2000 when I first came, and like all that track was being played everywhere, as was System F, Out of the Blue, which is Ferry Corsten, Tilman Ermacher, On the Run. Armin was producing early in the noughties as well. He had Communication out at that time. There's so many, but I have to play music from that era anyway when I'm playing it one more time, because otherwise it's not authentic. So I was literally digging back through all of my records, you know, trying to make sure that Kevin and Perry particularly, it has to be from the era when the film came out. So obviously everybody plays all the big tunes from the film, like Lange's Follow Me is in there. Jules actually worked on the soundtrack for that movie as well. So Paul Oakenfold was huge at the time. I mentioned him earlier as well. So
he's been huge for a very long time.
I know, but there were so many that I ended up playing with at Judgement Sundays as well, like Marco V. I'm racking my brains now, but yeah, in terms of tracks, Cafe Del Mar is right up there because I normally play it still in every set. Oh, and Chicane. I forgot Chicane.
Huge.
Chicane, Offshore.
Offshore, yeah. I mean, that's an old track, isn't it? That's from my era. That's more from my era.
But also, I mean, like, house music was massive on the island at the time, and I always had to play house music alongside trance. I was obviously listening to house music as well. A lot of my kind of idols from Ibiza, or women that I looked up to, that we had on Charlie's Angels. They were playing house music.
But that's always been on the island. I mean, even my era, the very beginning, before when ours first started, there was the Blairy beat, as you all know, but there was also, when the house music started, there was always a techno side. So that was always there.
Yeah.
You know, inside at Space was techno, outside on the terrace was happy. The house music. Yeah,
because around that time also Carl Cox was one of my favourite nights to go to.
Carl was quite techie.
Amazing.
He was very techie. I mean, you know, and he still is. He still plays. He goes different genres every now and again, but his mainstay has been techno, really. I mean, that's, you know, that.
And old school before that. I mean, I was following him from like 91, 92.
He was a soul and jazz funk DJ in the early days.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where he came from.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a good friend, Ray Locke, who's a good friend of mine. I've known him forever. They're very good friends. And I think Ray helped him on his way, because Ray was a little bit older than him. He's playing all that old jazz funk and that, and they used to do like parties for their mates and that kind of stuff. And that's how they started.
Well, we all grew up in the rave scene. I mean, I can remember literally wanting to go to the tents where Carl was playing. I'm actually going to see him this Saturday night because Prodigy are on in London this weekend.
Me too.
Are you going?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, all of those sounds also influenced me, but I kind of went quite melodic because I play piano as well, so I think that's why I was naturally drawn into trance. Even though I love rave music, I love the 4 to the floor, so the combination of that melodic sound. And
it's only been around nearly 40 years now.
Are you into like piano house as well?
Yeah, but I love melody, I love strings, I love, that whole emotion that comes through in trance music. That's what pulled me in. It's like classical with a 4/4 beat almost.
Yes, of course, it
a
is.
lot of the inspiration when you're writing music, so I also produce and release my own music, comes from, the emotion of classical music and melody, So chill out music is another thing that I absolutely love. So when you're asking me about favourite records, it's not automatically trance music.
No, this island's got more flavours.
Chill out. Like one of the first CDs that I bought when I was on the holiday in 2000 was the Cafe Mambo CD. I've still got it, and that had
who mixed
Moby
it?
Porcelain.
Who mixed it?
Oh God, I don't know. I want to say Pete Gooding. It could be Pete Gooding.
I love Pete. Yeah,
it could be, but it might not be. I'm going to have to go home now and check that. But I can see the front of it. It's blue with orange writing on Cafe Mambo. It's from 2000.
He's a lovely fellow, isn't he?
Yeah. He's amazing.
I always got on very well with him.
Another absolute machine in electronic music and everything that he's achieved here in Ibiza.
We did Pete yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, he's a icon here, so
yeah, no, he's just a good guy. He was there right near the beginning. He's helped me a bit with, because I know a lot of people on this island, but I don't know everybody on this island. It's helped me a lot with certain people that I wasn't on my radar. So
he's well connected, and he was, as you said, he was there from the start.
Yeah, he was there from the start. Yeah, he thanked me yesterday for letting him play in my gigs and all that for the very beginning. But that's why
I'm surprised I didn't get to play one of your gigs.
No, you came later, you see.
Oh, okay.
I was the early bird. I was here first. So it was the late 80s to the mid 90s.
Okay. So 2000, I'd missed you.
Yeah.
I'd missed
I
the
did come back in 2001. Was probably the last time I did something here. But I did do Privilege in 96, 97. But yeah, I had my time, and I loved every minute of it. I have got no complaints, but there's no surrender. I haven't given up yet. There is something still up my sleeve.
So I need to send my tape into you next.
Yeah, there's still something up my sleeve. Yeah, I mean, this has a big part of this whole thing we're doing. This is just the beginning, the podcast, but we have other things up our sleeves.
Okay.
So yeah, watch that space.
I am watching.
So it's asking some more things about the island. Favourite beach?
Does it have to be actually on the island, or can it be in Formentera?
Well, no, Formentera's good.
Yeah, because I think we
all love Formentera.
I mean, it's part of Ibiza, so that's why I kind of included it. You can be over in Formentera and actually think you're in the Caribbean.
Yeah, you can. Beautiful.
I've never gone.
Turquoise water.
But you have to.
It's beautiful.
You have to go, because for me, Formentera now has the essence that Ibiza had way back then. And I obviously, compared to somebody like you, I was a little bit later in coming to the island, but I can imagine that Ibiza...
Did you ever get the chance to go and do the mud thing?
Yes.
Okay, because they're not allowed to do it. Yeah, it smells, but it's meant to be good for your skin and all that. Yeah. But you're not allowed to do it anymore, are you?
No.
They stopped it.
But is it called Ilietta's, the beach on this side? I mean...
Is that the one where all the nice restaurants are in a row?
Yeah, so you've got Juan Andrea and Minestre, I think it's called.
I remember the first time we went over there, I was on a boat, and they said, do you want the really expensive one, the medium one, or the cheaper one? But they said they're all expensive. But I said, let's go for the expensive one. So one and a
So I've kind of taken us off Ibiza, but only off Ibiza by about, I don't know how many miles away it is, but it's not very far. It takes half an hour to get there on a boat.
I remember going over there not so long ago on one of those bounce It only took 15 minutes. Yeah. Unbelievable.
It's so beautiful over there, and like I always try and make a point of going over there.
That the water is different there, isn't it? I mean, it's like turquoise blue. It is like the Caribbean, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's so shallow for a long way out, so it's safe for kids, if they want to go in there. But also,
you guys watching, the Formentera is definitely should be on your tick list.
It definitely should be on the list.
Beautiful. So yeah, good choice. Favourite restaurant? So
I have a couple of favourite restaurants actually. So I can't name just one. I'm sorry. But there's one up in Calanova called Ayana. Have you been up there?
No.
You need to go to that.
Okay.
The way that they've kitted it out and the food that they've got in there, and also Calanova is on the exact opposite side of the island to San Antonio. So you've got the sunset in San Ann.
You've got the sunrise.
You've got the sunrise, but you've also got the moonrise.
Okay.
So they do, obviously, if you're going to a restaurant in the evening, the moon rises out of the sea. It is amazing. And it is as spiritual as watching the sunset on the other side.
I'm gonna have to,
it's got
good information for the viewers.
Yes, it is.
Well, I've been here 26 years, so hopefully I can impart some knowledge. It's all kitted out in kind of rustic wood, and the parasol kind of vibe, and very chilled. The restaurant sits right on the water, so it's almost like one of the original chiringuitos that you would have had, but obviously they've had to formalise it a little bit. And the food is amazing. And then back in San Antonio, I have to mention Casbah. Casbah is just around the corner from where I live. That actually used to be owned by Jules back in the day, and the guys that have bought it have again kept the kind of original essence of Ibiza chiringuito kind of style. Just around the corner from there is Golden Buddha, which is more of a bar, but all those places that keep that original vibe are always going to be my favourite, because it just reminds me of when I first came here. And as long as the food's amazing, and also the prices are not actually that expensive in the grand scheme of things for what you're getting, and it's just such a lovely ambience in all of these places that I've just mentioned. So Ayana and Casbah, two. Sorry.
Right.
I could name loads more.
I know you could. We all could. We all could. I mean, we've all got our favourites, haven't we? I mean, I've got a list as long as your arm is my favourite, but there are so many special places on this island.
And also, you have to keep looking, because I just said I've been here.
This one's open every year.
I've been here 26 years, and last night I went to an Italian just around the corner from here, which ordinarily I probably wouldn't have gone to, and we just had the best meal. The food was amazing. Can't remember the name of it, I'm afraid, but it's literally just around the corner from where we are now. And you have to try these places, because otherwise you just never know.
That's one thing on this island that has every single year improved: the food. Honestly, going back to there was a few places. I mean, back in my era, the late 80s, early 90s, obviously Sacapella has never changed.
Well, that was one of my favourites.
It's never changed. It's always been, Javier's bought it now, but he still kept the essence of what it was. Beautiful place, good food.
That was on my list.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, in the early days, there weren't many fabulous restaurants. There was only a few. As it's gone on and on, Ibiza's got more and more evolved more and more. Obviously, the chefs and the restaurants, there are so many now. I mean, there's probably thousands of restaurants I'd love to go to. There's just so much to do, isn't there? One of the reasons why we asked this question is for the viewers that, they're coming to this island, you say a place that and then they go and try it out. That's the whole point.
You wouldn't stumble across Ayana, because Calanova is at this moment still not very built up, so you really have to make an effort to get there.
But they're the good places, aren't they? You actually have to go there.
Yeah.
You can't just, you've got to go there for a reason.
But you've still got to book it.
Yeah.
It gets booked up, and especially around the moonrise time. They have special seating times, that you are allowed to go, and it is a magical place. I can't believe you've not been. You have to go.
Yeah, we will do.
Top of my recommendation 100%. List, that one. I don't know whether it's open yet at this time of year.
So on this island, if you were to pick a few people, maybe 3 people on this island who have influenced you the most, who would that be?
So I think I probably mentioned most of them already, because I would have to say that Chris Brown, who doesn't live here anymore, but used to own a property in Calaverdea somewhere.
Is he mad? Leaving the island?
Another one of my favourite beaches, by the way. He was the one that helped us to launch Charlie's Angels, which was the all-female DJ event I was speaking about before. And yeah, he backed Sophie and I, and he helped us to curate the lineups, which was quite a difficult thing to do back in 2001. There weren't that many female DJs. There were a lot that we've talked about, but there wasn't a lot.
Compared to men, there was a few, yeah.
There are still not that many in the grand scheme of things. It's still quite heavily male dominated, but yeah, Chris helped, bring in the ones that we wanted and that we could get to play on a night like that. And if it wasn't for him actually believing in us and the vision that we had for Charlie's Angels, then I wouldn't even be here. So he's certainly one of the big influences, and Eddie Locke, who was his partner at the time, and John Davis, who was also involved with tour operators. So between the three of them, they're the reason that I'm still here today, because I wouldn't have had that launch pad. And then Jules, obviously, he took a chance on me to make me a resident. I was actually, he had somebody that was working for him at the time called Giles Sawney, and Jules always used to have a Spanish resident that warmed up for him and then closed down the night. But the night generally attracted a British audience, and he was huge on Radio 1 at the time. So what was happen was everybody would get in the club to see him, and then once he'd finished, everybody would leave in droves. So Giles and Jules both basically said, okay, well, you've got your chance. If you can hold the people in here, then we'll give you a residency. And that was my challenge, which obviously the rest is history. I don't even need to. I don't need to tell you the story from there, because I ended up, and I'm still resident. I still play Judgement events to this day. So I'm playing for them again in September, twice actually, I think. So yeah, Jules has had a massive impact on my career in Ibiza and musically as well. So I have to say him, and then I would probably say Jan Pissenham and his brother Roman from the Night League and High Scream respectively, because again, when I was kind of having to take my foot off the gas as Vicky Devine, I got given the opportunity to work for them. And at that time, Ushuaia was quite wasn't small, but they were at the beginning.
Yeah.
So they started off as just a beach kind of place at the back.
It wasn't them to start with.
On the beach.
No, so the whole thing with the Ushuaia thing was a bar next door, where now Hard Rock was. So it was the beach bar there. Some guys were doing it. Then he moved it to where Ushuaia is, and the rest is history. Yeah. I like the bar it originally was at. Yeah,
they were involved then as well, but through various licensing laws and whatnot, they had to move it in, and now it's become the empire that it is today. But I learnt so much in the 9 years that I worked for those guys. Obviously, Jan got the Legends Award yesterday here at IMS, and it was a big part of my life and learning another side to the industry. So, and he's obviously had a huge impact. Both of them have had a huge impact on the island overall. So, but there's so many that I could mention, even like Nick Ferguson and Dexter that have given me the opportunity to come back to being Vicky Devine. It's a whole new chapter in my life again, even at the age that I am now. I never foresaw that this kind of completion of the circle was going to happen, if you like. And now I thought it was full circle, but it starts into a new circle and goes on from there, and you just don't know what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years' time, So
I thought I retired 7 years ago.
There you go. See,
I'm back.
Well, because of the love and the passion for Ibiza and the music, it just keeps pulling you in. But you also have to have the connections and people kind of believing in what you're saying and giving you new opportunities. And I'm just so lucky that I've been given those new opportunities at each kind of chapter of this life book that I'm in, that we're all in. And yeah, I've kind of got a new lease of life with Vicky Devine again. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So DJing is the future for you right now on the island?
DJing is...
You're obviously still working back with the other stuff, but you want to focus on your DJing a little bit more?
So when I left the Night League and I was given the opportunity to be more involved in DJing, I did the One More Time events, and off the back of that I got offered residencies. This summer I've got 2 new residencies. One is with One More Time again, but basically what they've done is they've taken it out of the nighttime club setting and put it into more of a free party experience, if you like, because everything has obviously become a lot more expensive here in Ibiza.
We know
and
that.
we just want to they just want to give something back and allow somewhere for people to go to listen to music that they remember, because One More Time is all about memories and Ibiza classics. And so we're doing that in Ibiza Rocks, on Ibiza Rocks bar on a Friday night. And then I've also been offered a residency at Tomorrowland, which have got a store in Playa d'Embossa, which is right next door to Ushuaia actually. And they've got like a bar that overlooks the Med up there. And I'm going to be doing some Sunday sessions there. So on a DJ tip, that's happening. So again, I never thought that I would have weekly residencies again as Vicky Devine. I used to have a record label and radio show, and I was obviously producing a lot of music throughout the noughties. I've kind of gone back to that as well.
Try to explain to the people what, other than the DJ, explain quickly what you do with the other side that, people don't understand the other side, how the music business is run. A lot of the people in the industry don't know it, so it's quite nice to get a soundbite from you to sort of tell what the other stuff you do.
So there's lots of different pieces to the pie, let's say. There's lots of different segments of what's going on. So there's a few things that have kind of happened. When I left my full-time job at the Night League, I got offered a job by somebody called Truelove, who, by the way, is another big influence an inspiration in my life here. Not only because of the artist that he was and the company that he set up and the artists, the writers that he represents, but because everything that he's built is around the music, and I always wanted to come back to the music. So I now work for him full-time in music, something called Music Publishing, and what we do is we basically represent the music that is written. So lyrics, melody. You've got the artists that are at the front of a record, but you've got the people that are writing the music behind. Some of them is one and the same.
And the companies behind that they put it out there, don't they? So
the labels are putting the recordings out there, and publishers are representing the written work that is underneath. So if you've got like a sheet of music,
sure the artist is protected.
The writers, writers. The record label sign the artists, we sign the writers. So it's kind of two different sides to music that a lot of people don't understand, and it's difficult to get your head around, because in electronic music, artists and writers tend to be one and the same thing. Yeah. If you're in a band, there could be like all of you could be artists, and some other people could just be writing the music that you all end up performing.
Like
but
in
anyway,
the Beatles, two of them were mainly the writers, and the other two weren't, were they?
Yeah.
So you've
been speaking to my boss, haven't you?
I know that from the past. I mean, famously, the Michael Jackson buying the Beatles.
Quincy Jones was the writer with Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson was the artist. So same. So we represent the writers, and I was lucky enough, off the back of managing artists, to become more interested in that and be offered a job with John Truelove, who I now work with full-time today. And then on the outside of that, I'm also doing Vicky Devine stuff again, which is, rebuilding my radio show, rebuilding my label, all of which I had to kind of put to one side when I was looking after other people's radio shows and labels and artist lives.
Looking after yourself, isn't it?
Well, it's the other thing that I've kind of missed off is that last year I got nominated onto the board, the executive board.
Sounds very
the Association for Electronic Music, and I'm representing rights holders in that space. So my job at Truelove Music, I'm the head of creative. So my job is to speak to everybody that we represent and all this amazing music that they write. And in the Association for Electronic Music, I'm trying to make sure that I'm advocating for their rights within the scene, and making sure that they are guided in the best way to be the artists and writers that they are. And also, like, my job every day is to ensure that their music is exploited and heard by as many people as we possibly can. So I'm completely immersed in electronic music from all angles.
Yeah.
And I have been for so long, and I never envisaged that this would be my life, or I'd be lucky enough to actually have a life so immersed in electronic music when I started raving in 1990.
Well, none of us knew what we had in store, did we?
No. Or even when I first got on that plane to Ibiza, you know, I never could have envisaged that I would still be here 26 years later. It's kind of crazy.
When I did my 19th birthday in my nan's back garden, I never realised what it was going to lead to, you know. Let's give out.
When I was taping Top of the Pops on a Sunday night, you know, I was like pressing record just to the biggest songs that I could think of. I never thought that I would now be talking about, you know, who wrote that actually, and you find out
it wasn't relevant then, was it? Now it's much more relevant, isn't it?
Yeah. The DNA of music, it's an amazing thing. I could get really nerdy about this.
Well, this is what this IMS is about. It's the networking and the nerdy side of, you know, and I wanted to sort of cover that a little bit, because it's not just about the DJs and stuff like that. This is an industry, isn't it?
There's a whole ecosystem, and like I said, there's so many cogs in the wheel, you know, from people that are running labels, running radio shows or stations, promoting events, selling the tickets, doing merchandise, you know, the whole thing. When you think of where it's come from and where it is now, it's a crazy journey. And I've kind of been involved in so many different areas of that throughout my life.
Diverse, a little bit, yeah.
As you could say. Or you could say jack of all trades, master of none.
You know, but most people stick to what they know. They're a DJ and they DJ, or they make records and they do a bit of DJing. But, you know, you've gone into the backside of it, where, you know, it's like where all the making the cogs work. You know.
I just love music.
Yeah. And there's many cogs in that industry. So Vicky, the whole point of being here today is to induct you into our Ibiza Hall of Fame. I'm pleased to give you your award.
Oh my gosh.
So, Vicky.
I feel so honoured. See, this is another chapter of my life.
Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for...
That is amazing. I wanted a smiley face. This is where I come from, Acid House.
Exactly.
That's where we all come from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's incredible.
You're welcome. And thank you again for sharing your story with us. It's been incredible.
I feel like we've skated across 35 years and...
No, this is a short interview. We're just trying to honour you for what you've done on the island.
Thank you so much. Really humbled.
So that's all from us at Ibiza Hall of Fame podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and to follow us on all of our platforms. See you soon.